Well, we are now just 10 weeks away from the November election, and following the Democratic National Convention, there are increasing expectations for Vice President Kamala Harris to give her first sit-down interview this week. For more on the state of the presidential race, we want to bring in Kim Wallace. He is the head of Washington Policy Research at 22V Research. And Kim, we're looking at that post-convention period for both of these campaigns. Each of them got a bump during the convention. What happens now?
Hi, Becky. What happens now is we get polling tomorrow, maybe the day after, that tell us what respondents thought about the Democratic National Convention. More importantly, a day or two before the September presidential, we'll get a flood of polling surveys that tell us where the race is nationally and whether it's reset and how each candidate stands.
What do you think each campaign needs to do to boost their cause?
Oh, I would think for former President Trump, there's still a challenge for him to broaden his appeal to voters. In 2020, he lost to Biden by 7.2 million in the popular vote and 74 electoral college votes. He's got to take some of that market share in order to prevail. For the vice president, I would say continue doing what has come her way and what she's developed in the last 5 weeks.
Does that mean no interviews, no questions, no extemporaneous speaking, no press conferences, no policy, really just sort of hide until the election and hope that people just hate Trump enough to elect her? Is that what you're saying?
No, not at all, Joe. I think both candidates are going to have to put themselves out there. I think the next 2 months, beginning the Tuesday after Labor Day, will be a sprint, and there'll be pressure on each of them to present ideas, but mainly to stay in front of voters to be judged.
It's amazing, though, Kim, isn't it? I mean, it's been 31, 32 days. Is that a strategy, do you think? And I don't know, shouldn't the media at this point be complaining a little bit more about not having any access, or voters be complaining a little bit more about...
Joe, this has been obviously an unusual election, to say the least. The 24 days that Trump enjoyed large and growing gaps over Biden, he didn't present himself much. He just benefited from the so-called vibe. The 36 days counting today that have been unusually supportive for the vice president. She's been out there, but as you point, neither of them have really exposed themselves to unstructured interviews, to campaign events where they get...
That's not true. That's not true. Trump's been every couple of days, whether it's good or bad, Kim. I mean, there's a lot of people that think it's bad that he's talking to. He's had multiple periods where he's had questions thrown at him and he's answered them. She hasn't answered a single question thrown at her.
I'm not sure the record is clear on that, Joe. In terms of the former president's appearances, many of them have been an interview form like he did with Musk. Certainly that was structured. That was not wide open, and obviously that was made for TV or radio.
I don't know. You're not watching much Fox, Kim. He's been talking a lot. Some people would say too much.
That's part of my point, Joe, is that talking to Fox for Trump is speaking inside the family. That's not going to help him win market share.
It's like talking to CNN. It's like talking to CNN for a Democrat.
For both of them, absolutely. And that's why I think the next 2 weeks, beginning Tuesday, is going to be a real challenge for each candidate to throw away their comfort zone and expose themselves to voters.
Hey, Kim, the swing states obviously are where so much attention is being paid, and it matters. They've been so close. How many are we watching at this point? 7, maybe?
Still 7. I think you might have to switch a few around. For example, North Carolina is suddenly in play in ways it wasn't even 2 or 3 months ago. But those swing states have been very important to outcomes the last 2 presidentials. And as you point out, Becky, they've each been close. Ohio, a little less close, but the others have been very close in terms of the national share between the Democrat and the Republican presidential candidate.
What are the 7 we're watching? Okay, so if Ohio's still gotten less clear, we're still counting that as one of the 7. Which are the other ones that are so important? We are.
Pennsylvania's still there. Wisconsin, Michigan. I have North Carolina in there. Georgia's in there. Arizona's in there.
Okay.
Minnesota has all of a sudden come back into play.
So we'll be watching this closely. When do you think you'll have a good feel and be able to make a prediction that you feel confident with? I mean, it just feels like it's so volatile, this campaign cycle.
Oh, I won't feel comfortable making a prediction ever. I'll wait for AP to do that. You know, I've been doing this too long and been burned too many times.
Kim, predictions are hard, especially about the future. That's a Yogi Berra-ism.
I was going to say, it sounds like Yogi Berra.
That's a good one, isn't it? But tell me
It's
that's
a
not
very good one.
Tell
it
me that's
applies
not
to
true.
Politics and business.
Tell me that's not true. The hardest predictions are the ones about the future. I'm really good at
That's where we are.
Predictions, yeah.